Welcome to episode 29 of As Long as the River Flows, a Keepers of the Water podcast. Episode 29 is part 2 of a 3-part series on the decolonization of our diets and reclaiming traditional foods. Food sovereignty traces back to our original teachings to learn about the connection between the land and our food supply and connection to community through traditional foods. Decolonizing our diet means incorporating traditional foods to preserve and nurture our mind, body, and spirit, and eliminate diseases that have long impacted Indigenous peoples. In part 2, we hear from Dr. Kevin Lewis. Dr. Lewis is a Nêhiyaw Plains Cree instructor, researcher, and writer from Ministikwan Lake Cree Nation in Treaty 6 territory. Dr. Lewis has worked with higher learning institutions within the Prairie provinces of Manitoba, Saskatchewan, and Alberta in the areas of Cree language development and instructional methodologies. His research interests include language and policy development, second language teaching methodologies, teacher education programming, and environmental education.
You ganit to in the Naskamoni Gaxiwat sit Samina got more batu Sise. So I'd like to thank the creator for allowing us to meet, even if it is virtual. And I'm also glad for the water keepers for keeping these webinars going, because they're all such beautiful topics and so close to our homes and our home fires. And of course, our hearts and our families. And again, just sort of making sure that we understand the power of prayer as well, that we communally maybe give a prayer to the thunder beings, make it rain. Let's communally use the way we do things and pray to the the chief thunder being to work and help the fires. Not for them to spread as far and fast and wide, but to nourish Mother Earth, and for that summer to roll into that gardening and planting and harvesting season, right? So it's all that cycle of life, and we notice it when things are off a little bit. Already right away. When the spruce, kapisakpagag, we call it, right, which is kind of like sakpagaupism, which is the May moon. That's when the pussy willows are starting to pop, and then so on, right? You start seeing that, and all of a sudden the bears. That's when they start kapimuskit, right? So that we talked about bear teachings, and then all the fasters, all the chicken dancers, all the lodges that are popping up in our territories, for them to have good ceremonies. So because they look after us too. They sometimes maybe we can't be there in person. Sometimes we have prior commitments or multiple things that we need to take care of, and we can't show up at those ceremonies. But they're still committed to those prayers that we've done since time immemorial, as they say, right? So again, these are the lodges that are continuing. The sun dancers are still continuing. They've never, ever given up, even though things were outlawed in this country. Now, we weren't allowed to sing our songs. We weren't allowed to put up these lodges. So what would we do? We went underneath. We went in the night. We went far deep in the bush, and we still continued them. So I thank those strong-willed people. And then maybe they were hard-headed in a way, but there's a commitment to the creator, because these laws were given by the creator to keep this balance and to understand how delicate we are, right? How delicate we are, that we need water, we need rain, we need that snow, we need a good amount of snow for these times when it's kind of this dry season right now. Coming from sort of like just having nice, big, huge, big ears that I have, I always give thanks for these beauties here. These big hubcaps. I get to listen to elders, and I get to listen to all sorts of different elders from different places. But one thing, El Nino, and it's supposed to be coming up here pretty soon, and it's not this year yet. So if things are pretty dry right now, and you start listening to sort of like the cycles of the earth, and we have internet now. And when I approached some of our elders for doing the work that we do here at Wâsakâyâsiw, Ministikwan Lake Cree Nation in northwestern Saskatchewan, in the boreal forest. So we're full of trees all around. We're full of forest. and we're full of lakes. It's not right here. It's kind of like a transition zone between the plains of south of us, north of Saskatchewan River, and then into the Canadian Shield. So this is kind of like the area that we're at right now, and it's delicate right now, right? We have to have prayers to the fire spirit. We have to have prayers to everything that we're related to. So again, I think my focus, and I think I thank Jared for his work that he does in languages. I thank the work that he does for the indigenizing our foods, learning how to read those tides, learning how to read and share that with another generation, which is his boy. He talked about his son. So those are the things that we need to do, is that, it's their responsibility. We're kind of boring their time a little bit, and then so on, right? So I'm sure those teachings are going to hit those grandchildren of yours. If you don't have any, it's going to hit those grandchildren. So that's sort of some of the teachings that we have here, is if we do things right with our children and share these teachings, we're going to be okay. And I also want to remind, when I was going to the elders here and I was asking them, oh boy, climate change, what's going to happen? Oh my goodness, ozone layer, what's going to happen? And I thought they were going to give and bestow, and they did. But I thought it was going to be like more of a panic mode, like I have. Like I was like, this is the end of the world, sky is falling. And then what they said was, in just the calm way that they do, kiwiratan himiguapa, kiwiratan sichigiun, momo sichigiun, kiwiratan. And then that's what they said. And what that means is, go home to those old teachings, go home to those lodges, go home to those ceremonies, and there you're going to find your answers. And it is there that we do find our answers. We learn how to live when times like this have happened, because this isn't the first time climate change has happened for us. That's how long we've been here. We've been here through a flood. We've been here through ice ages, and we've been here through forest fires, winds, and all these different. So we've been here quite a long time, despite what DNA and whatever sampling that they're going to try to throw at us to say, oh yeah, we've traveled from somewhere else. Oh yeah, we did for sure. But it's not where you think, we're a lot older. Our DNA comes from this land right here. So, and it's kind of like Canada. It reminds me of the word kaganata. Kaganata is clean, where it's clean, right? Things clean land, and just think about it, like the common sense. Let's say if I have ceremonial items, let's say if I have a pipe or whistles, I've heard all these different things. And this is, and Mosum Panoma, I heard him say this in a recording, and it was him. He used to go out in the bush and he would hang his pipes, he would hang his whistles, he would hang his drums, his rattles, and then he would allow the wind to clean those items. He would allow the grandfather wind to come and just do their cleaning, cleaning of all those things that he had to use. And he used them quite a bit in all these different ceremonies. So again, for us too, for ourselves, it's nice to be out there, but also to understand that we have that power of prayer. We have that power of our medicines. We have those teachings in there to give us clues how to behave, right? Another thing I wanted to add was, and I'm starting to say this, and I say this to use voice, to use the power of my voice, to make it into fruition. I want it to happen. But we still just never know when our time here on this earth walk is going to be finished, right? We just never know that. But with that said, I envy those elders that lived into their hundreds. And I sat with like three elders for sure that lived over 100. And like I said earlier, I'm only 25, right? 25 years old. So that's a lot. 75 more years. So I'm just kidding. But anyways, these old guys and old ladies, 2 old ladies and 1 old man. And these were my tapans. These are 3 of my tapans. And one of them, Pigingagiti, was one. His name was Frizzly Bear. And I took a picture with him when I was 5 years old. I have a picture with him, and he's sitting in the back with a pipe, little, one of those pipes. And I remember hearing him. I remember visiting him, and his name is also Kakwistapistawa Kagiti. That was his name. And then the other two old ladies was from here, from our old ladies from here. And I saw them, and they were so active, and their brains were sharp, right? So kind of envious. So my study is, then this is kind of like going to be the lifelong study. I want to get there with a real good active head like that, just like those old ladies. So part of that is genetics. We'll say that. Okay. Genetically, we have to have like old people, which we do. And if you talk to those elders that are in those ceremonial lodges, that was the norm. Back then, people used to eat. The other part has to do with diet. What are we eating? How are we treating our bodies? Right? What are we putting inside to have that longevity? How to live into that ripe old age? Because the elders, when you talk to them, when you hang out with them, and I don't want to be an elder right away. I want to be an elder way utinikan, okay? I want to go through this process wawitna, and learn as I go. So maybe I can bestow a little bit of wisdom when I'm over here, way over here, if I do things right. The third thing that I found out was it's a legacy, some sort of legacy. So it doesn't matter how you do this, whether you go to church to create a legacy, whether you go to the Sundance or the Sweat Lodge, or whether you do it in yourself, by yourself, but it's like building and developing like a little shrine. And you'll see some people, kind of like what I mean about shrine is have pictures of your great-great-grandparents or oldest pictures that you can find, hang them up. And then also have pictures of your family, your wife, your loved ones. Make a wall full of pictures that are of your family. Put them there. And then you walk by that every day. And that's that legacy reminder. Oh, yes, I've got something to live for. It's right here. I'm walking right by it all the time. So those three things, isn't that cool? So what happened was with these old people right here, our relatives, what they used to do was they're ceremonial holders. And when you get into a lodge, that's the shrine right there that people go to every year. And they're committed to that, those songs, those bundles, those pipes, those teachings, those medicines that are in there, those berries that need to be picked, a certain time. You can't pick these things in winter time, but sometimes I do. I have a real good picking berry patch in Cold Lake. Somewhere there. Sometimes I gotta go to the grocery store to get berries. So these things we're supposed to pick them, during the summertime when they're ripe, right? When they're ready to be picked. And then other things too, the foods, right, that we pick, the medicines, the sweetgrass, the sages, the cedar we got to trade for. We got to travel to get all of these different roots that keep our blood and our hearts, our organs, What are the medicines that we need to drink right now in the springtime? Wow, it's already kind of past here, but we looked into it, and this is something that the elders used to do here. And they used to drink birch water, that birch tree. They used to tap it every spring. And the old people used to drink it. And we're starting to revive it. And you only have a little window to do this, right? You only have a little window. And then you got to plug them again. And then you got to wait another year. But it's a tonic that you drink that is so good. And the type of sugar, it's a fructose type of sugar. And it's good for our bodies. And in our communities right now, there's a lot of diabetes, a lot of obesity. And I wanted to title this Dancing Around the Culture of Food, right? And the reason why I included dancing was because, man, we have round dance, we have ghost dance, we have the feast, we have all these different ceremonies where we always incorporate food, right? And the toughest thing for me to see, to be honest, but it's so hard, but it's a good hard. Okay, it's difficult. Because in our days, it's hard to go hunting. It's hard to go harvesting. It's hard to go do all these things to prepare for a ceremony. All these dances that we do. So the convenience is we'll go to the Walmart, we'll go to the local grocery store, and we'll go get foods that are very easy. But the hard part is to harvesting moose and to preparing that moose, or going fishing, going duck hunting, doing all those things that we should be doing. So we need to sort of dance around that idea. And like, it's hard enough for the lodge keepers to be doing what they're doing, but also to be constantly having that responsibility of doing those ceremonies. So we need to work as community members, and we need to hunt for them. We need to hunt and gather for these ceremonies. So you can't be saying, oh, I don't know why we do that all the time, and point the fingers. We need to become active, and then provide those foods that are healthy for us. And like Jessie said, I like what she said when those traditional foods are good for us. They are medicine. The Inuit they've done so many studies up there, because the processed foods were going so high, and that's what they were eating. Their sicknesses were getting higher and higher. But when they started going and harvesting, more of their traditional foods, guess what happened? This went down, and then their health went up, right? And it's because probably they're moving, right? So again, taking responsibility for ourselves. If you want to be an old man, if you want to be an old woman, if you want to see grandchildren, if you want to see great-grandchildren, we're going to have to take care of ourselves. And we're going to have to eat right. We're going to have to exercise. And number one thing, we're going to have to socialize. And that COVID era sucked. Oh, the man, did that suck. It was horrible. Visit and hang out with your friends. Giugatun was so, we were just kind of like in isolation. And that isolation, what happens in that isolation, dealing with ceremony, everyone kind of went through some sort of fasting ceremony, a fast of not visiting. If you're a social butterfly, if you like hanging out with family, you couldn't even hang out with them. So socially, we were fasting, and then we were kind of contemplating, okay, what's going to happen? What are we going to be doing? What's our next move? How should we, am I going to make it? So you're processing just like you do an actual fast. So when you're in a fast, I don't know. I prayed hard during COVID. I self-reflected. I know I exercised not as much as I should have, but we were doing like lots of physical activities. And I missed my family. I missed my friends. I missed Gugum. I missed all the ceremonies. So I was really contemplating to see what the heck is the next move going to look like. And I missed that family, And then, so now we're out, now we can move around. And then now we've also learned how to use Zoom. We've used technology. We're starting to use all this stuff. So we're starting to share our stories. And like Jared he gave us such a good look of what he's up to over there and what the possibilities are. So I'm hoping there's a lot of people that are listening in on this, on this session, and then people share it, because there's some really interesting things that are being shared right now.
That was Dr. Kevin Lewis. Thank you for listening. Make sure and tune into As Long as the River Flows next week to hear the conclusion of Decolonizing Our Diets with Dr. Kevin Lewis. If you want to learn more about Keepers of the Water or help out the cause, all you have to do is check out our website at keepersofthewater.ca. And we've got a ton of other content on our other socials. Make sure to like our Facebook page and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Miigwech.